Hey YouTube, this is PrimetimePokemon. In this video, I'll be reviewing and giving away the Cold Fire theme deck. This is a Water, Fire, and Dragon type theme deck from the Boundaries Cross set. Last month, I reviewed and gave away the Ice Shock theme deck. And in order to win this giveaway for the Cold Fire theme deck, you need to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and then follow me on my blog. Once you've done those three things, just comment in the comment section below with your follower name from my blog. And you only can enter once, and before I upload the winner video, I'll make sure that the person that I have chosen has qualified. To see the complete rules, just read the video description. So, the winner will receive everything in the back of the box here. The 60 Pokemon card deck, the coin, checklist, damage counters, deck box, player mat, and then the code card that will give you this theme deck. I'll read the summary of the Cold Fire theme deck, and then I'll go through all of the Pokemon and then the trainers and energy cards, and then at the end I'll say what I think of this deck, and throughout the review I'll be saying what I think should be changed on this deck. So, the Cold Fire theme deck, it says, watch foes feel the heat as White Kyurem sets your game ablaze in the Cold Fire theme deck. Send opponents on a slippery downward spiral with Samurott's destructive whirlpool attack and run rings around them as they try to fend off Darmanitan's ferocious damage counterpunch attack. And with Delibird, Delcatty, and Dunsparce delivering you deck-searching delights to drive the flames even higher, your opponents will be going out, but not in a blaze of glory. So, I'll review all the cards in the deck here. I'll show you everything in here first. So here's the player's mat. And I do have a series on how to play the TCG if you're not exactly sure. And I can make updates. If you want to give me any suggestions, you can just shoot me a message or comment in this comment section, and that won't count towards your entry for this deck. So there's a Kyurem coin. I believe last month in the deck that I reviewed it was a blue Kyurem coin. Checklist. Damage counters. And then the TCG code. Here's the cards. And the main Pokemon in this deck is White Kyurem. Last month's deck was Black Kyurem. I definitely thought last month's deck was pretty good. There were some subpar cards in there, but the Blastoise and then Black Kyurem were very good, as well as the Electivire. So I definitely like that deck. Hopefully after I get done reviewing this deck, I'll have an opinion on which one of these two I would suggest. I'll try and get everything out of here quick. White Kyurem looks pretty cool. So, I'll show them like this. So there's two White Kyurem cards in the deck. 130 HP, 2 moves, Damage Rush and Cold Fire. Damage Rush does 20 damage times the number of heads you get, and when you flip a coin until you get tails, so potentially this card could do hundreds and hundreds of damage, but more than likely it may do 40, maybe 60 if you're lucky, 0 if you're not lucky. And then Cold Fire does 80 damage plus 40 more damage if you get a heads when you flip a coin. So last month in the last deck, Black Kyurem did 100 damage per turn, where this one has the possibility of doing 120 damage per turn. More than likely will do 80. Averaged out would probably be 100 damage every turn. 2 of those. That's the only Dragon type Pokemon card in this deck. And then there is a 3-2-1 line of Duat, Oshawott, and Samurott. So I'll show the Oshawott first. Oshawott, basic water type Pokemon, 60 HP, good HP, Rain Splash and Seashell Attack are the 2 moves, 10 damage and 20 damage, so a very excellent starter type Pokemon. There are 3 of those, and I'd actually suggest using this card in the Ice Shock deck from last month. as a starter Pokemon. Next up is two Duat cards, 90 HP, so good HP again. And then Rain Splash does 20 damage, so a good quick move. And then Waterfall does subpar damage for 3 energy cards, only 50 damage. So I'd either put Oshawott into the active Pokemon and start using that as a starter Pokemon. And if you have another Pokemon in the active Pokemon spot and have Oshawott on your bench, I would not move it into the active Pokemon spot until I would evolve it from Oshawott into Duat and then into Samurott. And Samurott is 140 HP. There's only one Samurott card in this deck. You may want to add another one. Samurott, 140 HP. 2 moves. Waterfall, which does 50 damage for only 2 energy cards, so it's a pretty good move there. And then Destructive Whirlpool, which does 80 damage for 4 energy cards. And it says to discard an energy card attached to the defending Pokemon. So this card's a little slower. Waterfall, I guess, is a fairly fast move, but Destructive Whirlpool will take a little time to set up. So far, the 2 most powerful cards in this deck, White Kyurem and Samurott, both only do 80 damage for sure. Not as much as last month's deck. Next up, there is a 1-2 line of Keldeo and Cryogonal. Not a line, but Cryogonal, which is a basic Pokemon. I don't know what I was saying there. Keldeo is just a basic Pokemon as well. So Cryogonal, 90 HP, a good HP again, and just one move called Ice Edge. Does 20 damage plus 20 more damage if you get a heads when you flip a coin. So not a bad basic Pokemon. It has a good HP, above average HP, and then an average move, I would say. So I'd say this is actually average to slightly above average for a basic Pokemon. If you're trying to look and add another Samurott card, you may want to remove one Cryogonal. I definitely have one in this deck. It is good enough to leave in the deck. And then, like I said, one Keldeo, 90 HP for basic water-type Pokemon card. Hydro Kick does 70 damage, so above average damage for a 3 energy card move. And then Rising Lunge does 20 damage plus 20 more damage if you get a heads when you flip a coin for 2 energy cards. So this is another decent basic Pokemon. I like Cryogonal a little bit better, but Keldeo definitely does a good amount of damage if you can give it some time and get it set up. Next up is a couple more water-type Pokemon. Well, just one water-type Pokemon left is Delibird. There's 2 Delibirds in the deck, and then we move on to fire-type Pokemon. So Delibird, 80 HP, so a little lower HP than average. 2 moves, Present and Icy Wind. And Present says to flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for a card and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterward. So there's a way to get, let's say, Samurott into your hand and be able to evolve Duat into Samurott quite quickly. And then Icy Wind does 30 damage and puts the defending Pokemon to sleep. So if I had Delibird in the active Pokemon spot, I would use Icy Wind first, and then the next turn use Present. So that's it for the water-type Pokemon. Now we move on to the fire-type. There's a 2-2 line of Darumaka and Darmanitan. Show Darumaka first. Fire-type, 70 HP, so a good HP. Just one move called Reckless Charge, which does 30 damage, but if you get a Tails when you flip a coin, does 10 damage to Darumaka. So not the best basic. Above average HP, above average damage for 2 energy cards, but it does damage to Darumaka. Darmanitan, hopefully, is quite powerful. There's 2 of those, 110 HP, so above average HP. No ability, but 2 moves. There's Continuous Tumble, which does 20 damage times the number of heads you get until you get a tail, so this move could do only 0 damage if you get a tails right away. And there's Damage Counter Punch, which does 60 damage plus 60 more damage if you have any damage counters on Darmanitan. So this is a great move right here. So I would definitely suggest getting Darumaka on the bench, 3 energy cards on it, moving it into the active Pokemon spot, using Reckless Charge 1 time, hopefully getting 10 damage on Darumaka, and then evolve it into Darmanitan the next turn and use Damage Counter Punch and do 120 damage per turn. That's a very good move. Or, if you want to, you could definitely put Darmanitan in right away. Do 60 damage the first turn once you're attacked, and then do 120 damage the second turn. It would do 180 damage in 2 turns, which would be 90 damage per turn, which is very good. Just wish the HP would be a little bit higher so you could do Damage Counter Punch even more turns if it would be more like a White Kyurem or a Samurott's HP. But only stage 1, 110 HP is very good. So that's definitely the best Pokemon in my opinion so far that I've reviewed in the deck. I like Damage Counter Punch very well. The last Fire-type Pokemon, there's not very many Fire-type Pokemon in this deck, only 4 of them, is a 2-1 line of Numel and Camerupt. 90 HP for Numel, 2 of those, basic Pokemon, does 60 damage for 3 energy cards. It says to discard an energy card attached to this Pokemon. So definitely not a starter type Pokemon, and it's too slow in my opinion to really do much with it. You'd want to evolve it on the bench into Camerupt, which has 130 HP, 2 moves, Fire Shard, and 130 HP is very good. Fire Shard and Flamethrower. Fire Shard does 60 damage, and the defending Pokemon is burned. And if you get a heads when you flip a coin, the defending Pokemon is also paralyzed. And then Flamethrower does 80 damage. However, you have to discard an energy card attached to Camerupt after using the move. So there are 3 cards in this deck that actually do 80 damage per turn. Samurott, White Kyurem, and Camerupt all can do 80 damage per turn, and Keldeo can do 70 damage per turn. So there's some powerful Pokemon in this deck. I don't like the Pokemon so far as well as the Pokemon in the other Boundaries Cross deck, the Ice Shock deck, but I haven't reviewed all of the Pokemon yet. So that's just it for the Water and Fire type Pokemon. Now there's some colorless type Pokemon left. There's 2 Snorlax in the deck, 100 HP, and there's 2 moves on this card. Double Lariat, which does 40 damage times the number of heads, and then Rollout, which does 60 damage for 4 energy cards. So not the greatest of cards here. It does have good HP, and the moves only require colorless energy, so you can use any type of energy cards you want, but I would probably try and find either another water or fire type energy, or another water or fire type Pokemon to put in this deck instead of Snorlax. I don't think Snorlax is that good in this set. Next up is a 2-2 line of Skitty and Delcatty. I like the artwork on Delcatty, that's for sure, but start off with Skitty here. 2 of these, 60 HP colorless type, and does 10 damage for 1 energy card and 20 damage times the number of heads you get when you flip 2 coins for 2 energy cards. So a pretty good starter Pokemon. I'd definitely recommend getting this card into the active Pokemon spot at the beginning of the game. Then there's 2 Delcatty cards, 90 HP, 2 moves, Gather Energy and Double Slap. Gather Energy does 30 damage and allows you to search your deck for a basic energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon. And then Double Slap does 30 damage times the number of heads you get when you flip 2 coins. So after you move Skitty into the active Pokemon spot in the beginning of the game, Delcatty is definitely not a bad evolution to evolve it into. Gather Energy could, add an energy card to Darmanitan faster to get 3 energy cards on it, or if you want to use White Kyurem's Cold Fire move, or Samurott's Destructive Whirlpool moves, both of those moves require 4 energy cards, so Gather Energy can improve the time that it'll take to use both of those moves. Another colorless type Pokemon, there's 2 Dunsparce in this deck. 60 HP, so good HP again. 2 moves, Double Draw, which says to draw 2 cards, and Dig, which does 10 damage. And if you get a heads when you flip a coin, all effects of attacks are prevented during your opponent's next turn if they try to attack Dunsparce. So it's an okay Pokemon card. I'd probably use it just for double draw, but you can definitely replace this card with a supporter or trainer card. Like a Cheren, I think, draws 3 cards, so I'd definitely replace Dunsparce with Cheren if you're looking just to use that card for its ability to draw 2 cards. And then the last Pokemon is Lillipup. 2 of these. Another basic Pokemon with 60 HP. 2 moves as well on this one. Roar, which says your opponent switches the defending Pokemon with one of his or her bench Pokemon. And then Bite, which takes 2 energy cards and does 20 damage. So it's an okay basic Pokemon card. I wouldn't really suggest any of these colorless Pokemon in this deck except for the Skitty Delcatty line. Snorlax you can easily remove, Dunsparce and Lillipup all can be removed, and another Darmanitan or Camerupt possibly could be added, White Kyurem or a Samurott. All could be added. So that's it for the Pokemon. I'm going to review some of the trainer cards. 2 each of Energy Retrieval, Great Ball, Hue, Energy Search, and Potion. And then there's only 1 each of Skyla and Pokemon Communication. So Energy Retrieval allows you to put 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. So if one of your Pokemon that requires a lot of energy cards gets knocked out, or one that retreats that costs 4 energy cards to retreat, you can retrieve some of those energy cards that it costs to either retreat, or when you had a discard and you get knocked out, you can move those back into your hand. Great Ball, it allows you to look at top 7 cards of your hand, of your deck, and then choose one of those cards and put it into your hand. 2 of those. And then 2 Hue supporter cards. It says to each player either draws or discards until he or she has 5 cards in his or her hand. So if your opponent really has a lot of cards in their deck, or in their hand I mean, you definitely want to play this card and they'd have to discard some cards. Or if you don't have very many cards in your hand, you may want to play this card to get 2 or 3 more cards into your hand. 2 of those, like I said. 2 Energy Search, which allows you to search your deck for an energy card and put it into your hand. 1 Pokemon Communication, which allows you to exchange one of your Pokemon cards from your hand, put it into your deck, and then you can put it into your deck, and from your deck you can get a Pokemon card in there and move it back into your hand. So it's basically going to the PC, not discarding, but moving a card from your hand, putting it into your deck, and then taking a Pokemon from your deck and putting it back into your hand. 2 Potion cards, heals 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. So like I was mentioning when I was reviewing Darmanitan, it has a good HP for stage 1, but if you want to use damage counter punch numerous turns, you may have to use Potion with it. It'll make its HP seem maybe like a 140 or 170 if you use 1 or 2 of these. So a very good card to pair with Darmanitan. Last supporter / trainer card is Skyla, and it says to search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So if you have this one and you want to heal some damage from one of your Pokemon cards, you could play this, find a Potion, and then use it right away. Or if you're trying to get some energy cards back, you could use this card and use Energy Retrieval or Energy Search. Or if you're trying to find a Pokemon, you could use this card and then find Great Ball or Pokemon Communication and use that card that same turn. So that's it for the trainer and supporter cards. There are 11 water energy cards and 7 fire energy cards in this deck. So 18 total energy cards. In the Ice Shock theme deck, it was actually the same amount of energy cards, 18 total. Both decks had 11 water energy cards and this one had 7 fire energy. The other one had 7 lightning. So overall, I would say I recommend Ice Shock a little more than Cold Fire. I like the Pokemon in that deck a bit better. The Stage 2, the more powerful Pokemon I like better in the Ice Shock theme deck. In this deck, I definitely like Darmanitan. White Kyurem's okay. Samurott, I would definitely add another one. And then some of the basic or lower level Pokemon are a little bit better in my opinion than the Ice Shock theme deck. Overall, you definitely can't go wrong with any theme deck out there if you're learning how to play the game. There's definitely strategy involved in each deck that's built in. You can learn how to use that strategy and then little by little change out a couple cards in your deck and make it your own. But like I said, if I was rating these decks, on average I would say theme decks are maybe a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. I would give this theme deck a 5, just a bit below average, and then I'd probably give the other one a 7, just about average or slightly above. But like I said, you can't go wrong, and make sure to enter to win this giveaway, this deck as well. Just like, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on my blog, and once you do those 3 things, just comment in the comment section with your follower name, and then in a few weeks I'll announce the winner in a video. So thanks a lot for watching. Once again, before you go, check out all the links in the video description below, my Facebook blog and Twitter links, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.